Good morning and happy Sunday. It is a very rainy day here in Maine. We had a tornado warning yesterday, which is very unusual for Maine. There have been maybe two that I can remember in my life. And apparently, a tornado did touch down somewhere. I don't remember where. Might have been Massachusetts. But it's been raining since mid afternoon yesterday. Another busy day, but got to do clearing the bases. Every Sunday morning, I do Clearing the Bases episode where I cover all the interesting things I saw in the hobby of the past week. Some cool cards, some cool collections, some weird stuff, some scams, some robberies, stuff like that. Uh, this one is probably going to be fairly long, but we're going to jump right in and start with sharing my screen. And I saw a bunch of these this past week, and I found it interesting that there were so many of them, they didn't seem to be tied together. This person says, just a heads up, make sure it's a PSA 10 before you list a card that has to be authenticated by eBay. And he means a raw card. He's saying that it needs to be perfect because eBay authentication, which goes through PSA, has allegedly tightened up their standards. And it's interesting that I saw a few of these all in the same week. And here's another one. Uh, wow, eBay really is changing the game. Got this today. Let's just close it out here. Authenticity verified, listing accuracy, minor issue found. And the listing, the authenticator's notes, remember this is through PSA, said, I observed that the item has minor issues that were not specified in the listing. The card received has minor damage, including bent or blunted corners, and they highlight the corners, which I think this is a fantastic service, by the way. The card received has edges that are slightly rounded, chipped, fuzzy, or missing. And then this is the buyer of the card. And then they say, do you still want this item? And you can choose. And then if you don't want it, you get refunded, which I think is really cool for buyers. It does make things difficult on sellers because they have to make things very clear in their listings, which I don't think is a bad thing. So I think that this is good from eBay's perspective. Is PSA tightening this up? I have no idea. It's interesting. There's one of them that I can't find. One of these examples where the guy showed the listing itself that he had posted. He was the seller of one of these cards, and the listing said that it was near mint and had some edge issues or something like that. And PSA in the eBay authentication process noted that and offered the buyer to refund their money, which does seem crazy. I couldn't find that one, but it's has it gone too crazy? I don't know. This is very anecdotal with just a few examples in the past week. Um, but here's here's one. eBay needs to update its requirements for a near mint card because this is perfectly allowed under eBay guidelines as near mint. Cards in near mint condition are equivalent to a fresh pack. They only have slight imperfections, such as 1 to 3 rounding or soft corners and slightly rough edges. Any damage aside from this would automatically lower the card's grade. Signs of wear, corner wear, and this one got rejected for minor chipping. So, and he had it listed as, and this is a different one than the one I already mentioned, had it listed as near mint. So you tell me. And then this person says, read on eBay authentication about authenticating ungraded cards, multi-point inspection, except it says PSA experts verify authenticity through a multi-point inspection. That's not grading the card for you. That's just verifying the authenticity of the card. They're just making sure the card is legit. And then it says, and then they carefully review listing details for accuracy, which means checking to see if chipping, corner wear, etc., is listed. So I don't know. This is too anecdotal to say they've gotten too tough, but it's interesting. These are interesting data points. If you don't want to have issues with your cards, make sure you are protecting them with the Penny Sleever. As always, this video is sponsored by the Penny Sleever. They now have new products. This one is a vintage mag card holder, one touch, and they have tobacco cards, Gaudi, Play Ball, 48 to 50 Bowman, 51 to 52 Bowman. And these are all, of course, different sizes because those cards are different sizes. You can get 10% off any product through the Penny Sleever to protect your cards and your collection using my code JWH2025 on your first order at thepennysleever.com. The link is in the description of this. Make sure you are protecting your cards. All right, I found this interesting. PSA Japan posted, and it translates it here, and it sounds like people in Japan are sending PSA cash or gift certificates or gift cards along with their cards. And the implication here is that they're trying to bribe the graders, I guess. And PSA is saying, don't send that. And maybe it's possible that the process is just different with PSA Japan, where um, instead of paying up front or including a credit card number, people are thinking that they need to pay by including cash or a gift card or check or something with your card. And we here in America are just misreading this. I'm not sure, because translations, as you know, are never perfect. But I just found it interesting. Uh, this this is pretty crazy. A year ago at the National, a collector bought a Topps Chrome Rookie Superfractor Auto of Cal Raleigh, this card here, for $300. He had it graded. It came back a 10, and he just sold it. He or she just sold it this week on Golden for $63,000, $52,000 winning bid, 63,000 with buyer's premium. It's quite a return in a year. $300 plus grading fee. Impressive. All right, suburban Chicago sports card shop reeling after a burglary late last week. Off the rails relics lost thousands of dollars in merchandise. They had security cameras, but the criminals used jammers. And the jammers they were showing in this news post, jammers cost like $700+. And I have security for my house. I have security outside. I'm adding security inside in here in this room. And it just made me think, if it was cheap, then it concerned me. But for $700, I don't think anybody's coming into my room for my small, measly, low dollar collection with a $700 jammer. But it's yeah, something to think about for sports card shops. They use a jammer to jam the Wi-Fi, which turns off the cameras. All right, Jacob Gomez, a pitcher for High A affiliate for the Braves, was caught stealing cards from Walmart, allegedly. Cards were only worth $60. And the way it worked is same as it always works at Walmart, which is you walk up to the self checkout, you scan your other things, your nail clippers and your candy bar and your Mountain Dew Code Red, and you don't scan the $60 box of cards. And then you walk out. And Jacob Gomez was arrested, and then the Rome Emperors, the affiliate for the Braves, released him afterwards. And I thought, well, he must have been terrible. He really wasn't, though. Here we are. We have this year, 2025, he has a 2.82 ERA in 51 innings. He had 67 strikeouts in 51 innings. That's pretty good. And his whip, 1.22. I guess the problem is he's in high A and he's almost 24 years old. I'm guessing that's why they said, we're going to cut ties with him. The moral of the story is don't steal, especially not sports cards where they're on the lookout for that. Here's your laugh of the week. eBay CEO Jamie Iannone told CNBC that eBay has never had a counterfeit product get through one of their authentication centers. And they authenticated 1 million items in a single quarter. They do it across jewelry, handbags, trading cards. They've never had a counterfeit get through one of their authentication centers. That is, I believe, provably false. And I tried finding some examples right away. I didn't have any, but it's just a crazy thing to claim that they've never had one. All right. This is an interesting one that I think requires more research. Hang on one second. All right. So this is a Kevin Garnett, 101 patch auto, and they're saying definitively that the patches were switched. And it does appear to be true. You've got a laundry patch here, the laundry tag, which we talked about last week, and you have a logo man here. And some people, like Meatballs, is saying, hang on a second, this looks like it should be a logo man autograph based on the card number on it. But at the same time, the autographs are completely identical. I inspected these. You've got the same exact marks on each of the autographs. So it does look to me like these were swapped out. And it looks different, of course, because PSA graded this one and it wasn't graded when it was just a laundry tag. And so everybody's saying, well, how can PSA grade this? Well, because if the card number is the same, although I don't know that the card number could be the same, and PSA also doesn't grade or verify patches. So they should. PSA should be doing that. And to make it easier, Panini and Topps should be creating a database of patch images. They can make this so much easier. All right, here's something that got a lot of people confused, and understandably, I think this is PSA's fault. PSA, this person tweets, PSA is now making cash offers once your card is graded. And yeah, it does look like that is happening because once they've graded your card, you're now getting offers. And this was news that this past week, and a bunch of YouTubers were talking about it. Uh, big time YouTubers were saying PSA is now offering you money for your cards, which seems like a conflict of interest. And in fact, PSA is not offering you cash for cards. And here, Collect, journalists, I like Collect, by the way. PSA to offer cards for cash when grades are revealed. And it's called PSA offers. So I can see the confusion. PSA has done a terrible job of branding this, but Collect knows the PSA is not offering you cash because they wrote right down here, offers from a partner network of buyers will be visible. PSA isn't actually buying these cards. The argument that I think is compelling that they made on Hobby Hotline yesterday on For Collectors is that it's still a conflict of interest because PSA is grading the cards and then receiving a cut of the purchase based on the grade. And so the argument is that PSA um, could be influenced to grade higher uh, based on knowing that they're going to get a higher cut of the purchase from this network of buyers. And I don't think that's big enough for them to do that. I don't think they're going to do it, but the optics are very, very bad for PSA. Now, Nat says, because somebody's calling this out on Twitter, a bunch of people are. Nat says, not us buying the cards, we're just facilitating. So, no. Um, and then he says, there's always that one guy, which there's not just one guy. There are a lot of people saying this, Nat. Let me know in comments what you think about PSA facilitating offers through their app. Once the card is graded, and then you immediately, within 24 hours, have the opportunity to sell to this network of buyers. Ryan, a really good Twitter account, which I follow and really enjoy. A decade ago, Nolan Ryan, 1986 Topps. You could get a PSA 8 for $4, PSA 9 for $5, and PSA 10 for $355. And now, 10 years later, the PSA 8 has tripled in value, a little bit more than tripled. The PSA 9 has gone up by, what is that, 13, 14x. And the PSA 10 has gone up by 5 to 6x. And this is, again, very anecdotal. But this one example shows that the nines appreciated more, it's pretty significantly more, as a percentage of their original value 10 years ago. All right, I love autographed vintage magazines. Here's a Mickey Mantle, 1956 autographed mantle, Sports Illustrated, sold for $19,000. It's crazy. All right, Michael Penix Jr. has played 5 games in the NFL, and his gold vinyl 1 of 1 NFL Shield Auto RPA just sold for $52,000, man. And I think about this from a collector's perspective and somebody who's gonna sit on a card for a long time, and $52,000 is crazy because it's unlikely to ever be $52,000 again. I buy it today for $52,000, and in 10 years, it's gonna be worth hundreds, if not low thousands, in all likelihood. I know there's a chance that Michael Penix Jr. becomes the next Tom Brady, but it's very unlikely. But the person who's buying this for $52,100 is probably flipping it. Flipping it for 55, and then the person who has it for 55 is probably going to try to flip it for 60, and so on and so forth. And somebody gets left holding the bag, as they say. And I went and I looked up his stats because I'm not a massive football fan. I've really gotten back into it. I took like 6 or 7 years where I didn't watch a whole lot of football. I've gotten back into it, but still, I'm not a huge fan. Uh, he has 5 games. Only 3 of them did he start. He's completed 58% of his passes, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he is 25 years old. So unlikely that that $52,000 is a good investment for somebody. Chris Hoge, I thought this was interesting. We've talked a lot about AI cards, and here is an AI eBay listing photo. And you can see here they created this listing with AI, not the listing itself, but the photo with Lamar Jackson holding his card. Sorry, I keep having to cough. Got a little tickle in my throat. Okay. Then, and you can see that here, this is obviously AI generated. It says Panili Select, it looks like. But in the listing, and yeah, here's Panili Select. In the listing, they do actually have the card shown. So I think we're at a point now, similar to the account on Instagram I showed a couple weeks ago, where people are using AI to generate the photographs, even when they have the legitimate card. And that's something that my generation and up is going to have a hard time grasping. And we just need to say, just because the listing is AI doesn't mean they don't actually have it. I think that this is a more compelling photo, so it does make sense. What do you think about this type of situation? Uh, this is such a terrible story. I don't know if this is a kid. This person, and this is Sports Card Investor posting, somebody found a 1 of 1 in a $1 value bin. And he told the shop, I would think he would say, wow, this is exciting. Here's a 1 of 1 in your dollar bin. The shop owner apparently didn't realize he put a 1 of 1 in the $1 bin, and he raised the price to $30. And this is bad business, you guys. You made the mistake. You should eat it, and you'd have a customer who wants to work with you. If this were me, if I were this buyer and the shop owner raised the price on me, uh, I would I would leave and I would never go back. When I was brand new back into the hobby in 2021, I was at a card show in Augusta, and I found a 91 uh, SP1 Michael Jordan Upper Deck in a dollar box. And at the time, they were going for about $20. And I said to the guy, I'll take this for $1 because it was in the dollar bin. And he said, oh, no, that was a mistake. And he told me it was $20. And I dropped it back in the box and I left that table. It's just not the way you should be doing business. You just lost a customer over $19. And it was your own mistake. I know I'll get some comments from dealers who say, "Oh, you can't possibly price every car," but it's still your responsibility. All right. I want somebody to explain to me why this is a good-looking card. And if you like it, that's fine. It's just not for me. It's a weird design. I know it's some sort of art, and he looks like he has ballerina shoes on. This is Derek Jeter. Uh, Ballerina shoes on, and then they have this sticker auto, which really I think this could be a fine looking card without the sticker auto. What do you think? All right, we're going to talk about this from my collector's perspective too. A lot of collectors balked at buying hobby boxes of 2025 Topps Chrome SpongeBob for $250. Less than 24 hours later, Therapy confirmed sales on eBay as high as 550 for a single box. They've more than doubled. And for me, again, I think about it from a collector's perspective where $250, if I were interested in this set, which I'm not, but if I were, $250, maybe I would pre-buy. But if it got up to 550 or higher than 250, I would just wait because in 6 months, they're going to be lower, probably lower than 250 than they were originally. The problem is I don't think like a reseller or a breaker where they're buying these because they know that they can sell them at profit in break spots. And that's what's probably happening. Same thing with Bob Ross, where people were the prices shot up to $550, and then breakers were selling the spots for a total of $2,000 to $3,000. And that's an easy way for a breaker to make money, even when the price has more than doubled. But it's just not something that is for me. Okay, I don't. This is I usually save this for a attic find Friday, and I have a little bit of an announcement coming out probably Monday. But this is a 1912 Plows Candy Honus Wagner. And Joe Orlando says it makes the T206 Wagner seem common. There are a few of those that make the T206 seem common that Wagner has. It's just that the T206 is iconic. This is just the second example. It was a Pop 1, now Pop 2. And the owner of it, the person who found it, reached out to me privately, and I'm hoping to have that story in the near future. So pretty cool. Anytime you have a century-old Wagner Pop 2, that's a neat story. This is the peak of pettiness. This guy, Ken's Cards, not the petty one here. He lowballed offering $2. So this guy, B. Kim baseball cards on eBay, had a card listed at $5. Ken's card says it was a $2 card, so he offered $2 on it. And B. Kim cards got mad, and he ended up going and buying $2 cards just so he could add negative feedback. Oh man, insane pettiness. He wrote, card arrived quickly but has damages that wasn't mentioned in the description on both of these. Uh, over a $2 card that he offered, he went and bought $2 cards from the offerer and and gave negative feedback on both. That's crazy. All right, just a great looking card. And you know I don't like patches, but when you have a tricolored patch like that, looks great. Shohei, number to 10 auto rookie. Although I don't see the rookie rookie card logo. I might be missing it. Sometimes that happens. Um, yeah, it's currently bid up to about $8,000. Just a cool looking card. Neo shared this. I don't know who shared it originally. Oh, credit goes to PokeTCG Alerts on Twitter. These are folks walking out of Sam's Club with basically all of their Pokemon stuff, it looks like. No limits, just buying everything. Speaking of Pokemon, and I don't know nothing about Pokemon. I tried to find what these originally sell for, but I couldn't. This warped slab, which destroyed when it was melted in a space heater accident, sold for $455. Look at this thing. 455. All right, this mantle, rough looking mantle, SGC authentic altered, scribbled with purple scribble, just sold for $17,000. It's got stains, it's got whiting, it's off center, terrible condition, sold for $17,000. You don't see this very often. I think this is the second time I've seen this type of thing. This is a Topps Allen and Ginter Shohei Ohtani with a lineup card cutout on the card, which is kind of neat. It's unique. 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruth autographed, where he wrote "Sincerely Babe Ruth," and it's very faded, but looks great. Card got a 1.5, autograph got a 7. This is coming up in the November auction of, who is this? REA. Some are saying this could sell for breaking the record for an autographed vintage card, which I believe. This is the full body, number 144 Ruth. Iconic card with a great signature. If you're into Lego and you're into Garbage Pail Kids, Topps is coming out with this new Topps Chrome Lego inspired Garbage Pail Kids. Not for me, but still kind of neat. I always enjoy these stories. This is on Reddit. Fryan Rice sold a Seth Lugo red border to 2024 Heritage, and noticed the buyer's name was Lugo. So he asked them, and the guy said, "He is my son." I like these stories. You know, anytime a dad or a mom is buying a card of their child, it's heartwarming. All right, more cool cards. Shohei, Ichiro, Hideki Matsui, Masataka Yoshida, who seems a little out of place here, but 4 Japanese baseball players on a one-of-one autograph on card autos. Pretty neat. 1964 Top Stand-Up, complete, uncut sheet. I love this set. The colors on it are so cool. And this is coming up in Heritage. I don't know. This coming week, apparently. Chris Hoge again. 4 cards of Michael Jordan using this one play. Same card, same play, different angles, although that's the same angle, I think, as this one. Appears to be. And then this one too. So 4 different cards, same play. I think these are neat finds. And Auburn 35, the legend, found 3 more. I don't know how he does this. Crazy. So 7 of them. All right. Aaron Judge, 1-of-1 logo man autograph on card. Great looking. And it says game used memorabilia. Great looking card. I look at a lot of 1953 Topps Jackie Robinsons because I'm in the market for like a 1.5 or so. And I'm very, very picky about what it looks like. If I could find this in a 1, this card is so nice. The centering, everything looks so good about this card. Complete 1985 Wrestling All-Stars, PSA graded. Almost all are mint or better, PSA 9 or better. Complete set. I'm not into wrestling, but again, I like when people complete cool sets like this. And I've got a few more things like this. Like MW, just completed my 1995 Zenith Z Team football set. Another great looking 90s insert. Yeah. That's a cool set. All in top loaders, not graded. 2023 Bowman Chrome Spotlights. Same thing. Not even in top loaders for now. I'm sure he just took them out for the photo. Neat. And then I found this. I was watching Stand By Me with my wife last weekend, I think. Stand By Me is one of the all-time great movies. Stephen King movie, and somehow, even though it mentions Maine things like Togus Hospital, it takes place in Oregon. And I Googled it to find out why. And apparently, one of the screenwriters, there's a mention of Portland. One of the screenwriters assumed Portland, Oregon, and they just had it set in Portland, Oregon, even though it's clearly just like any Stephen King movie, almost supposed to be set in Maine. They also mentioned in the movie Shawshank, which is a prison that was in Maine in the book or novella. Okay, so anyway, this is a photo that I took where uh, the kid was he was obviously a collector. He had a Mickey Mantle, 1958 Topps All Star, pinned up the way Mookie Chilson likes his cards, and then down here you can't really see it because of the way I took the photo. Yogi Berra, 1960 Topps, had them on his corkboard. I thought that was neat. I hadn't seen it. And I texted it to Chris Sewell because Chris did a video a while back of all the times, not all the times, but a lot of times that sports cards were shown or mentioned in movies or TV shows, and he hadn't seen this one. Okay, here on Reddit we have a misprint Prism. Imagine that. This is a premier level one of LeBron, but it's not actually the one of one design. So this is like a couple dollar card. You could probably find this in a $1 bin, but Panini printed one of one on the back, and so people are debating whether this is really worth a one of one. Is it an error one of one? I don't know. All right, let's cover a couple things that I talked about last week. Remember, this guy, the Lake Worth Sports Cards and Collectibles Show, made a very aggressive post on Facebook, and I talked about that a little bit. But then somebody who went to the show messaged me this photo, and it says any customers that are caught trying to sell cards, buy cards, or make deals with cards with any other customers without buying a table will be thrown out. And I know Jeff Wilson showed this on his video. He, yeah. Anyway, this is just such a weird, aggressive threat by this dealer. And you can see the card show appears to be nearly empty in there. I know it's tough to tell because you can't see much, but I'm just going to go with that. Also, last week I talked about Peyton Toley's debut patch that was missing. It fell off. And a lot of people were speculating, when did it fall off? Well, Ashley Green, the Woo Sox photographer who was at Fenway taking photos, went through all of her photos, and she says it definitely fell off somewhere between warming up in the dugout and the start of the game, which confirms that it didn't actually make it into the debut. So I'll be interested to see if Topps ever addresses this. I don't think they will. I think they'll say, well, he was wearing it in the dugout or in the bullpen, so it counts. And then the legend, Auburn 35, always coming through with something very funny in this case, or uh, he finds things that I don't know how he does it. The Red Sox could have some fun and sell bottles of MLB debut bullpen dirt with the possibility of finding the patch. Yeah, they're sold out right now, but I think it's a new marketing opportunity for them. All right. This is the lighted up football Panini Donruss Optic set. This guy finished. Oh no, he's missing. The only remaining card was the one of one gold vinyl, and he popped up and he ended up buying it. So pretty neat completing a set like that. Good for that guy. And then here we have the Kobe Bryant nameplates complete. Each card signed by Kobe on the patch. And then this one is special to me and to a guy like baseball collector Mike Moynihan. This person, Grand Slam Collectibles, collected over 350 autographed Diamond Kings cards. I think I'm at like 30% of Hall of Famers autographed. and just slowly collecting them as I go. Uh, but yeah, this is very, very cool. The entire set. And he thinks he can get $15,000 for it, which maybe, I don't know. I only have one or two of these that are graded. The rest of them, I prefer them actually to be raw for a binder that I have. All right, 1985 NBA All-Star Banquet Program. This guy posted on Reddit. What was the story again? Belongs to his grandparents. It's been sitting in a safe for 40 years. Signed by Michael Jordan. You can see the Jordan right there. And then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Julius Erving. You got Pistol Pete in there. He says it's autographed by just about everybody who was there. This is amazing. There's Larry Bird right there. Bird's autograph has gotten better over the years. Bob Pettit, Pistol Pete right there. It's actually signed at Pistol Pete. Walt Frazier, John Havlicek. Very neat. And then we end with a little bit of a laugh. The Pack Addict says, a card that I've listed for months just sold. Here's to hoping I can find it. I think any of us who don't sell very often can relate to this. Uh, you list a card on eBay and it's not a very desirable card, and eventually after a long time it sells, and you say, "Oh, I forgot I listed that. What did I do with it?" I had one that I had listed on eBay, and it sat there for a long, long, long time, and then I sent it off to COMC. Thankfully, nobody bought it on eBay, but I did remember at one point, "Oh, wait a second, I have an eBay listing. What was that?" And I went and removed it. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a great Sunday. I have another busy day. I'm going to pick up some new shelving for the wall behind me here. Tonight, I'm recording the episode with Dan, Vintage Dan, that'll air tomorrow night on For Collectors with a couple of other guys talking about our new card rooms. So I hope you'll watch tomorrow night when that's on remember, For Collectors channel. I will see you all soon. Thanks for watching.